This is Dave Wirt with your Ag Market News Weekly Livestock Summary. Here in Pennsylvania this week we had 4,982 head of cattle compared to 3,846 last week and 5,232 a year ago. Calves this week we had 2,843 compared to 2,997 last week and 3,385 a year ago. Hogs was 1,399 this week, 1,335 last week and 1,535 a year ago. Sheep and lambs this week we had a good size run of 5,449 head compared to 3,414 last week and 2,544 a year ago. And goats this week there was 3,561 compared to 2,862 last week and 2,736 a year ago. Cattle this week compared to last week's market, slaughter steers sold mostly $1 to $2 higher. Cows were about steady to firm, and bulls were $3 to $5 lower this week. Steers high choice and prime are $124 to $127.50. Choice are $118.50 to $122.75. Selects are running $113 to $117. Holstein steers high choice and prime are $105 to $107.50. Choice were running $115.50 to $118.75. Selects were $92 to $95.75. High choice and prime heifers this week were $119.50 to $121.50. Choice were $115.50 to $118.75. And selects were running $105 to $112. Cows, breakers were $72.50 to $76.50, boners were $70.75 to $74.75, and lean cows were $65 to $70.25. Bulls high dressings this week were at $104 to $108. Average dress was about $90.50 to $94.50, and a low dressing was $85.50 to $89.25. Feeder cattle this week, steers medium and large frame 1 3 to 500 pounds were $139 to $160, 5 to 700 pounds were $122 to $151. Number 2s, 3 to 500 pounds are $124 to $134. 5 to 700 pounds are $130 to $137. Heifers, medium and large frame 1 3 to 500 pounds are $121 to $147.75. 5 to 700 pounders are $113 to $133. And number 2s, 3 to 500 pounds, are $116.75 to $123. 5 to 700 pounds are $112 to $120. And bulls this week, 3 to 500 pounders, number 1s, $137.50 to $153. 5 to 700 pounds are $116 to $136.50. Number 2s, 3 to 500 pounds are $117 to $130. 5 to 700 pounds are $117 to $122. Holstein bull calves this week. Holstein bulls over 95 pounds were about $5 to $10 lower, and calves that were under 95 pounds traded steady to $5 higher. Holstein heifers were mostly about $10 lower this week. Number 1 Holstein bulls 95 to 120 pounds were $101 to $118. Lighter calves 80 to 90 pounders were $80 to $1. Number 2s 95 to 120 pounds was $90 to $107. 80 to 90 pounders were $77 to $89. Number 3s were $60 to $82. Heifers, number 1s 85 to 105 pounds were $115 to $136. Number 2s were running $66 to $106.50. Hogs this week, barrels and gilts sold steady to weak. Sows were about $1 to $2 higher. Barrels and gilts 49 to 54% lean were $59.50 to $62.75. 45 to 49% lean were $55 to $59.75. 3 to 500 pound sows were $36.50 to $41.25. 5 to 700 pounders were $44.75 to $47.75. Sheep and lambs this week. Lambs sold $5 to $10 higher. Sheep sold about $5 to $10 lower. Choice lambs 40 to 60 pounders were $106 to $152. 60 to 80 pounds are $132 to $152, and 80 to 110 pounds are $134 to $137. Good used 100 to 150 pounders were $67 to $85. Utilities were about $50 to $80. Goats this week, compared to last week, were about $10 to $20 higher on kid goats. Nannies and billies were also about $10 to $20 higher. Goats are sold by the head with weights estimated. Selection 1 kids 40 to 60 pounders were $140 to $144. 60 to 80 pounders were $140 to $172. 80 to 100 pounders were $158 to $180. Selection 2 kids 40 to 60 pounders were $86 to $125. 60 to 80 pounders were $120 to $160. Number 3s 40 to 60 pounders were about $48 to $80. Selection 1 nannies 80 to 130 pounders were $185 to $205. Selection 2s the same weight was running about $146 to $182. Selection 3s 80 to 130 pounders were $115 to $124. Selection 1 billies 100 to 150 pounders were $218 to $265. Selection 2s in the same weight range were about $185 to $220. And Selection 1 wethers 100 to 150 pounders were running about $245 to $275 this week. This is Dave Wirt for Ag Market News. Have a good week.